Hello. I am so glad you are here. I am not Julie White. My name is Debbie Packard, but I am sitting in tonight for Julie, and we're so glad you joined us. You are in for a treat and to hear some amazing information. Whether you are here live or here watching a recording, we are really glad that you've taken the time to be here. I am here to introduce our speakers for tonight. They are David and Lena Misener, and they live in Belton, Missouri. They are the parents of four grown children, and they own and operate Beulah Arabian Horse Ranch, where they use their horses for equine therapy and ministry, including hosting leadership camps, as well as camps where kids can learn about God's creation. David is a pastor and a realtor. He holds a degree in gerontology, and he really enjoys working with the elderly and in hospice settings. Lena is a microbiologist who teaches on the high school and the collegiate level, and she puts the science of these products into language that even I can understand. I know that you'll be able to as well. You will see quickly why we all love David and Lena so much. They have partnered with LifeVantage for 11 years, and it's easy to see their excitement for what this company has to offer and their passion for sharing it with others. So, with that, I will turn it over to you, David and Lena.
Great. Thank you so much, Debbie and John. Thank you so much for inviting us to the call tonight. It's great to see everybody's faces. And I'm going to start off, and Lena I'm going to give her the majority of the time. Are you focusing on the Healthy Glow Stack tonight, honey?
You're
You got to
muted.
unmute yourself.
This is the same that we were sharing
On it,
with the group
focusing on
in Georgia,
inflammation.
the
Okay,
inflammation.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Great. That's excellent. So we were invited into this 12 years ago. I was praying for something. This was shortly after the 0809 real estate crash that affected everything. And I was like, dang, that was not fun. I want to, Lord, give me wisdom. Give me wisdom on how to provide for my family and help others as well. And as I was fasting and praying for a period of about 6 months, there were some things that the Lord put on my heart consistently. And one was to surround yourself with wise financial counselors, people whom you trust, people with have some kind of track record, not just somebody who knows what to say, but somebody who actually has a track record of developing multiple streams of income. And then do that to develop multiple streams of residual income, leveraged income, so that if one source or stream of income gets pinched or pinched off, you have other streams coming in as well. And it's so nice to see money being deposited into your account from different sources. It's a good feeling, and I think it's just wise, and it's what the Lord put on my heart. And so if you think this is something that you might be interested in, specifically developing multiple streams of residual income, LifeVantage has been an excellent way for our family in providing one of those streams. And there's different ways to multiply that as well that I can speak to on a higher level at some other point. So that was the mindset I was in when one of the persons who at the time was a wise financial counselor invited me to a meeting similar to this, except it was in person. And at somebody's house, and immediately my radar went up for network marketing, and I was like, you know what, I've not had good encounters with people who've been in network marketing before. And you might be one of those people who has had somebody done it poorly, and you're like, man, that's kind of cheesy. I don't want to be a part of that. But I said, really, man, I thought you were smarter than that. And he said, just trust me, David, come to this, and I think you'll like it. And so he picked me up and took me to this home. And I said, if this gets weird or whatever, I'm walking out. I don't care if anybody's embarrassed or if it's in the middle of, a living room. I don't care. I'm just walking out. I'm just not going to waste my time with it. He's like, fine, just hear it out a little bit if you can. So I did. I went and I heard this lady. She was 70 years old at the time, and she had bad knees, bad back, and a bad brain, such that her children were starting to hide her keys from her, so she wouldn't drive off and forget where she was. And help, where am I? You know, and that's your potential liability, for her. Anyway, they were doing that, and she was like, "Oh Lord, don't let me lose my mind." And her chiropractor discovered this um, uh, uh, little yellow pill and introduced it to her. And she did the background on it and the science and her due diligence. And she said, wow, this could be something amazing. And she started to take it, and within a few weeks, her knees started to get better. Within a couple of months, her back was better, significantly better, because it was reducing inflammation at an exponential rate within her body, and it was just making her body healthier, so it was able to deal with some of those age-related changes that we all get. Raise your hand if you've ever had an age-related change. You know what I'm talking about. Debbie, raised two hands. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I could, and then after a few months, she said it was like the fog started lifting from her brain. She was starting to think more clearly, and it was like the Lord was rewiring her mind again. And I think she's on her third book, and I mean, and I was listening to her, and I'm like, I absolutely believe this woman, believe this product helped her, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to generalize to everybody. And then she showed me the ABC prime time. And if you've seen that, to find out that there's an all natural product that outperformed the clinical averages in less than half the time on national television, that's amazing. After I saw that, I'm like, I want that in my body now, and I want everybody in my family to have it as well. And then I found out you could give it to all mammals, dogs, cats. Though I don't know why you'd give it to cats, but we give it to our horses. And we saw differences in them as well. And there's YouTube videos. Type in Protanum horse, Protanum dog. I don't know if anybody got a cat to sit still long enough for a video, but I've heard stories about cats, and if you've ever tried to pill a cat, that's some serious oxidative stress that can be manufactured with that. Um, so I mean, I was like, okay, let's get on this, um, and then she started to talk about the business. And we have an income disclosure statement, and because we're publicly traded, if the numbers we put out are wrong, the Securities and Exchange Committee will somebody will get fired or go to jail, or the company's going under, or all three. And so when I saw the numbers of the income earnings disclosure, I was like, and this woman is making that kind of money. I'm like, sign me up. And that was 12 years ago. And this 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 company has not only improved my health and the health of my family, and I have no idea how many illnesses we are, keeping at bay as a result of increasing our body's own ability to heal itself. And Lena's going to talk about this later. I mean, that's so valuable, not just in dollars, but in heart time, in family time, in relationship quality of life. I mean, it's powerful. I mean, here I'm 60 years old. I just spent the day chopping down a tree. Somebody's like, "Why didn't you get a chainsaw?" I'm like, "It's a free workout." It's great. And I didn't think I would feel this good at 60 years old. And Lena keeps reminding me I'm still 59. I'm what 6 months away,
Mhm.
5 months, whatever. Anyway, I don't feel like I imagined 60 to be, and it's great. And not only that, but this has provided solid, reliable income for me and my family for over 12 years, and seeing that go into our accounts every month, and knowing what this has done for us, for our health, for our income. And here's another thing: we get to be a part of a community of functional, healthy people. I mean, if you know what I mean by functional, Um, that some families put the fun in dysfunctional, right? So, I mean, we get to hang around healthy people, and we get to hang around with positive people, and so many people are looking for that. The percentage of people who self-report themselves as feeling lonely. And that's all that matters. If you self-report as lonely, you're feeling lonely. That's real. And that and it's huge in our communities, in our population, not just in the United States, but around the world. We were developed to be social creatures. We long to interact with people. We want to see facial expressions. We want to see people sharing their lives and their feelings and their experiences with this world that has been created. And we get to do that with people who are also increasing their health and their wealth. I mean, that's fun. That's fun. And I tease Debbie a little bit now and then because, the Lord because when you are around people who are seeking the same eternal truths as you are and who are willing to go through the grinder to find that abiding that the Lord brings, that is special. Carol, there's other folks I know I'm going to be missing them if I start looking around. Cynthia, that's all I can see on my thing on my phone right now. But I'm so grateful for everybody, even Wally Roberts. I'm grateful for him. Tell him I said so, Carol. He's awesome. But this is a great company and a great micro franchise that you can build. And here's the deal. I didn't know anything about this. I just said, I want that. That fits the box, a box that checks a box for me, a couple of them actually. And I want in, and I'll figure out how to do it. And you can lock arms with a group of people that will help you do that. Not just the people who are on the call now, not just the people who are in Kansas City or wherever you're at, South Georgia, wherever, but all around this United States and even around the world. It's amazing the people I've gotten to know over these last 12 years. And with that, I'm going to kick it over to my wife, Lena Misener. She's going to talk to you about how these products reduce inflammation. Big deal. Listen up.
All right. Thank you, David. Appreciate that. We are going to be talking today about how to biohack your inflammation. And, this week I kind of was checking out what some people are saying. I mean, there's some very strange things that people are saying they want to do to biohack their bodies or, inflammation or whatever. But one of the things I love about our company is that we were like the ones that were on the leading edge of this to bring nutrigenomics, nutritional healing, to biohack our bodies naturally, safely. Because some of these things that people are saying to do, you've got to be very careful. There's some really strange protocols out there. So just be cautious is my plea for you. But what we're going to be talking about today is rooted in science. What's one of the things I love most about this company. I would not be with just any company. This one is one that every time they bring out a new product, I'm checking the research, I'm looking at it, and many times they're right on the cutting edge of things I'd not even heard of yet, and they've got a product for it. And so when I do share this with health professionals and what we're doing, they're like, wow, that is really good. That is exactly what we should be doing more in the medical field, is to be doing more prevention and not so much of the medication that can come after the fact. So what we're going to be doing is talking about biohacking your inflammation, because this inflammation is what is so key in a lot of your health issues that you have right now, and how we can prevent them from coming on in the future. And so this first slide, I couldn't help it. I had to have this cool little rainbow thing we were talking about, natural light being in all of these different wavelengths. So it's pretty cool. But when we're talking about our inflammation, we're actually talking about our immune system, and your immune system being activated, where there's this wonderful sweet spot where it really is doing what it should to keep your body clean, to keep your body healthy. But if you have a low functioning immune system, you're going to be more vulnerable to infection. You're going to be having toxins that are not removed from your body. You're going to be feeling kind of sick. Now, on the opposite end of the spectrum, if our immune system is overactive, for some people that starts off with just allergies, where our body is thinking that things like pollen or dust or mold or things like that is really going to be something that we have to get like, act like it's a great big infection when it's really not. And so on the opposite end of that would be autoimmunity, where it's your body starting to attack some of your own parts. Your immune system is starting to attack some of your own body's systems, and we end up with a host of autoimmune diseases from an overactive immune system. And so let me go to the next one. There we go. And so our 5 components of inflammation, you guys know this. You know this because anytime you've ever had a cut or that got infected, or even, anything where you've had a little skin infection or something, but this can also happen on the inside too when we are in an inflammation. So the 5 pillars of inflammation is heat. There's always going to be some heat involved in it. Redness, swelling. There's going to be retention of water, pain. It hurts. And loss of function, because it's just not going to operate. It's not, the cells are not going to work the way that they should. And so those, we all know these well, because if your immune system's working, you've had some instance with this, whether it's a skin infection or something going on in the inside in your gut, or even a sprained ankle or something like that. We've all experienced this. Okay, so some of the types of inflammation when we're talking about your immune system, when we have like a cut or a sprained ankle or something, we have that acute inflammation, which means it's very, very short. It's not going to last very long. And it represents your body's early reaction to the injury or to the infection. And what you're gonna end up having is healing that's gonna come pretty quickly, because it's all part of a process. It's like, you end up with a big inflammation and then a big drop quickly of all of those inflammatory markers, because healing is happening. And this is really an essential response for your immune, for a healthy immune system to do this. We also do this if you're having a cold or a response to a virus. Same kind of thing happens where you have a big inflammation and there's all, you're snotty and you feel terrible and you got a fever, and then you kind of come down on the other side and you're resolving it, and you've fought it off, and you're healthier. Well, there's another type of inflammation called chronic inflammation. And chronic inflammation is where it is lasting a long time, longer than normal, longer than just to clear your body of the infection or the injury or the virus or bacteria. And we can have different causative agents that can cause this inflammation for long periods of time. We can have chronic active inflammation where there's stimulus, where it's like a feedback cycle of stimulus that's causing the inflammation, and it keeps happening and happening. And so those are the types of inflammation that we are dealing with. And when we have, our typical inflammation, this is going through this acute inflammatory response. Like if you have an infection and there's the bacteria, and it gets surrounded then by these white blood cells that go into the tissues, and they're called phagocytes, and they eat them up and they chomp them up, and then they present them to some lymphocytes that are going to be making some antibodies. And then the antibodies will come in and they will be able to actually have a remembered immune response so that you will not become infected by that bacteria again. Really cool system. But we do have a lot of environment, lifestyle, and other stressors that were not present even a few generations ago. There's chemicals. I was even talking with someone today about what these kids are exposed to today that we were not on a regular basis. It's amazing. And they're starting to have younger and younger years when they are starting to have these immune problems, and just allergies and all kinds of things associated with the the new pressures of the environment that are happening with the young people today. But when we have an unhealthy inflammation response, what we have is then more like this autoimmune that starts to come up, or a chronic pain from an old injury. Like the injury was there a long time ago, but there's still pain there. And so we have to really get this under control, because it's like in a bad feedback loop where it just kind of keeps coming back around and just building on that same inflammation. All of those markers do not ever clear. And so we have inflammation, that's most commonly measured when we have a um, blood test that's called C-reactive protein. And when this is high, this is going to be, indicative of an immune response happening in our body. And it used to be that medical experts would give us something to lower it, because it was, of course, you had to lower it, just keep that inflammation low. But really, your inflammation is serving a purpose, and we need to be careful that we don't go too far the other way to decrease our immune response so that we can't fight off illness. But we also need to be careful that we're not taking too much of our non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs like ibuprofen, Tylenol, um, Aleve, and because if you take too much of these over time, this can really do damage to your kidneys, your liver, your digestive tract, and you just can really mess up some of your normal pathways that you should have in place for to be able to have normal inflammation. Okay, so chronic inflammation, what does it cause? So if chronic inflammation is making an environment within your cells that is not very healthy, and the cells themselves are not able to function the way that they should. And so we start to have some loss, that loss of function. And over time, as the cells are growing and dividing, and they're not really functioning as they're growing and dividing, that's when we start to have these diseases. And so cancer is one of the big ones. I mean, if we talk about all of us, we have the seeds of cancer within us, but our body, in a non-inflammatory normal response, is able to clear and recognize this cancer and clear it out through a process called autophagy, and where we're getting rid of the old abnormal, cancer cells that would be looking very, our body would be able to recognize it, that it's just garbage and it needs to go. But once cancer gets a foothold in an inflammatory environment, that's when it starts to proliferate and grow and even metastasize throughout the whole body. Another on the opposite end of the spectrum is arthritis, where this is an autoimmune type of disease where your body is reacting to your own tissues of your joints, and it's treating it like it's a bacteria or a some kind of invader in your body. So you have a lot of all of those immune cells just attacking those joints all the time, and you end up with lots of pain. So, I mean, we have all of these diseases. I mean, I could go through and explain it in different ways, but a lot of this, the root of it is the oxidative stress, which is bringing up the inflammation in these areas. And depending on what's going on with your body, there's going to be a different area that is prone to becoming more inflamed than others, depending on your lifestyle, depending on what you've been exposed to in the past, depending on what diseases you've had in the past. And so what we need to do overall is to get this inflammation down. So the chronic inflammation, some of the symptoms of that, even if you don't have any of those diseases that have been diagnosed, some symptoms of chronic inflammation that are like danger signs, because these kinds of signs mean that those kinds of diseases are coming. And so we need to pay close attention to this. So fatigue, where we have just that chronic fatigue, we're just not as energetic as we used to. We get really, really tired. We're just not holding our own with what we need to do for the day. High blood sugar, where you're not, your insulin's not just bringing that down every day. You're kind of having some insulin resistance happening in your body. Some anxiety and depression, if you're getting worried and and you're just thinking too much about all of the things that are not right, and the depression is just weighing down on you. A lot of this is because of the lack of neurotransmitters that should be being made in your gut, and because a lot of inflammation can happen in our digestive tract. And if we don't have a healthy gut with good microbes. We're not going to be making the neurotransmitters that are going to be affecting our brain and helping us to feel good about life. Digestive woes, where we are end up with constipation or diarrhea. It's like one or the other. Brain fog, where, again, I think that, that would be the worst for me, is if I couldn't think. I That's real important to me. Your abdominal cramping and gas are signs of inflammation also within your digestive system, problems with the microbiome. Allergies, that's a hyperimmune response. Real danger sign that things are happening and there's a lot of inflammation if you're starting to get more and more allergies. Belly fat, this is meaning that your inflammatory compounds are accumulating in your midsection and they're not being metabolized properly. Bloating, another sign of breakdown of food. Microbiome again, and of course skin problems. Your skin is one of your largest organs, and besides it just being your protection, it's like your first line of defense for your immunity, but it is also an excretory organ. And so a lot of the sweat and oils that come out of your skin are carrying some of the things that are supposed to be excreted away from you. And if you're ending up with rashes or chronic redness, a lot of time that is indication that there's like a lot of inflammation, a lot of toxins that are coming through in your skin. So a quick guide to just an anti-inflammatory lifestyle, because yes, I am going to be going through some products that will help this a lot, will help your inflammation, and it's biohacking, but this is a part of biohacking too, because if we are taking all of these products, but we're still eating a lot of trans fat, or we're having vegetable oils from seeds, I'm really, really trying to avoid that now. I'm trying to just have like olive oil or butter, really good, and stay away from the white stuff, the sugar, the flour, white potatoes, those kind of things, simple sugars. I'm trying to avoid all of those things, especially after going to Italy last year. David and I, we were there and we were eating so healthy. I mean, we were eating a lot and we were losing weight. And a lot of it was just getting away from our very sad standard American diet. So stay away from the processed meats. If it's from the deli, if it's in a box, if it's in a package, it's not very good meat for you. And your saturated fats, you want to make sure that if you are having a fat, make sure it's from a grass-fed, pasture-raised. Spend a little bit more money. You're worth it. Spend less on the other things and spend a little bit better on a good quality meat. You don't need much. You don't need large, large portions of meat to get enough protein. But you do need to make sure it's really healthy protein. So what we want to be doing is making sure that we're getting enough sleep, enough exercise, eating right, that we're watching the weight, we're managing the stress, take time to look at the trees like Debbie was talking about, and take a walk and play a game or listen to music, beautiful things, get away from the screen. I know we're on a screen right now, but it's so important to just be and enjoy. And so all of the things that we know we should be doing, make sure you're doing at least a little of it every day. I know it's hard. It's hard. But, I mean, we don't really live in a culture that encourages this. And it's a lot of times it's hard to find some of these things if we're eating out or even in a grocery store. But try to eat as many fruits and vegetables as you can. Try to get a wide variety of them. Your omega-3s, if you can get a hold of some fish, even sardines, a really easy way to do that. But we've been eating salmon at least once a week, and some other fish that are wild caught. We love to have walnuts. We mix them with things, and then of course we have our omega-3 product. Monounsaturated fats like olive oil. We're really, really enjoying our olive oil from Italy. Be careful that you don't get the cheap stuff because they're mixing a lot of seed oils in with olive oil in the less expensive olive oils in the grocery store. So make sure you're getting it from a single country like Spain or Italy or someplace like that for your olive oil. Your fiber, you want to make sure you have plenty of fiber, and that's to help your gut to have good microbiome, a good place for the microbiome to live and be able to produce those good neurotransmitters for your brain. And then lots of protein. There's lots of sources of protein, wide sources of proteins. And then of course your herbs and spices. And then keep your desserts and snacks very, very limited. I've been trying lately to only have mine like on Sunday, just very special occasions with the family. So it is really a treat. So that was my lifestyle, push. We all know those things that we need to do. But now we're going to be starting to talk about what scientifically we can do to really give us that oomph, because it's hard to do all those things. I know I don't hit it every single day, even though I'm trying my best. There's times that I'm like, oh, wow, I really didn't get very much of that thing, that nutrient or this thing that I know I need. And so this is why I take these products every day, because I feel like it's a bit like insurance. I'm getting the good foods that I really, really, really need to get this biohacking done. And so nutrigenomics is a term that our company came up with years ago, and now a lot of people use it. And it's the study of how nutrition is affecting our genome and how our genes are going to impact it at the cellular level, and then therefore what proteins the genes will actually produce or what things will get turned off, which is sometimes just as important. Okay, so the first product that I will be emphasizing was on that list, where we want to, a lot of people don't like to have fish. And if you're one of those people, this is a great way to get the omega-3 fatty acids, because you really do want it as high a quality as possible. There are a lot of them out there. They'll say even 369. We do not need omega-6 and 9, and we have plenty of that in our American diet. We need, though, omega-3s. And so this omega-3 is also has a little bit of omega-7, which is another one that is kind of rare and hard to get unless you're actually eating cold water, fresh caught fish. And this particular product, it's sourced from very small boats where they are they're quickly getting the oil from the fish, and it's not allowed to get rancid. It's not a old oil that smells fishy. Because if you are taking any kind of fish oil product, omega-3 product, and you get burp and it kind of has that fishy kind of, that means that is rancid. That is nasty. You've just basically taken something rotten. So don't get the cheap stuff. Pay a little bit more. Get a really good high quality fish oil. Our Omega Plus is awesome. We also have just a little bit of vitamin D in this, because we have vitamin D in a number of products, because we don't want to overdo our vitamin D, but it's also because it's in a certain amount, a certain concentration, that when these omegas are presented with this vitamin D, it allows the cells to take up these omega-3 fatty acids that much easier. So the reason that I have this study from 2006 is because I've shared this with people that are trying to stay off the NAIDS drugs, the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, because they are so bad for your kidneys and your liver. And with this study, they had patients that had stents put in in their arteries around their heart, and I think they were secondaries, and they were trying to control their pain with fish oil, and they were able to do it. And they were able to not take the prescription strength ibuprofen and Tylenol and all that stuff. And they were just on omega-3. And so when I figured out how much we need to take of ours, which would equal to what they had, ours were taking about 3 of these for a daily dose. But if you're in pain, you would take 9 instead of taking the Tylenol or the ibuprofen. So I love this product, and it has definitely worked. If I've had a headache or just a muscle ache or something like that, I'll take 9 of these. It works great. So that's my little aside. So the way it's working, this is representing the cell wall. This is the interior of the cell. This is the genes in the nucleus, and your omega-3 fatty acids are easily incorporated through either of these 2 gates in the cell wall. It's also really important these omega-3 fatty acids for a lot of cellular structures to be able to be formed, but this is how it's working to reduce pain. And so it's working through these two pathways to come into this one pathway where what we have is a pro-inflammatory cytokine genes that are turned off. They're turned down. So that kind of turns down the volume on the pain that is coming in. So that means it's an inhibitor when it has a block like that. And it's blocking, 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 blocking all the through that path. Okay. So now I was talking a lot about our healthy gut, and a lot of that is our fiber, and it's about the eating a lot of probiotic type foods like kombucha, yogurt, kimchi, other things. But if you're not eating things like that, you can take something like this, where the prebiotic is giving you a lot of the good fibers, giving you a lot of really good prebiotics to support the beneficial bacteria in your gut. And then the probio, which is 7 billion colony forming units, CFUs, of beneficial bacteria. And the really cool thing about this product is it has a timed release technology that is supporting optimal digestion. And so it's allowing it to get all the way to your hind gut. So these are two that we have had around for a long time, and they work wonderfully for trying to reestablish a healthy gut. If someone has leaky gut, or they know they have like a hyperactive inflammation response, an immune response. Then we have, alongside of that, we now have we like adopted in a company that had come up with this Phytopower P84, Phytopower 1 and 2. And the reason they have them separate is because they have some properties that they want to keep them apart. But it is quite a power punch of a drink it's a powder that we add to water. It has and will activate 14 key gut peptides that are regulating, repairing, and restoring the gut. And if you're wanting to talk about like eating your fruits and vegetables, and you're really having trouble eating your fruits and vegetables, this is the product that is just giving you just a powerful like plant ability to be able to get exactly what your body needs for nutrients and health. And so now I'm going to address more of our cornerstone product, Protandim Nerve 2. And we have two other products that we have developed to address the three theories of aging. And so what we're doing is we're trying to reduce and eliminate inflammaging, because it's the inflammation that chronic inflammation that really causes the aging in our bodies. And at the cornerstone of this is the oxidative stress, where we have reactive oxygen species that can then cause these inflammation reactions, and then it can cause the damage. The other one is the mitochondrial damage, because when we have the mitochondria starting to be in an environment of oxidative stress, we have a dysregulation of the calcium, and our mitochondrial is damaged, and we're not producing the energy that we would normally be able to have from that mitochondria. And then the other one is just the autophagy, the ability to have our sirtuins working correctly, and being able to target cells pathways to be able to fight these effects of aging, because we've got to have all the pieces in place. It's kind of like starts to be like a Lego. You start to think of yourself as like a Lego image. And if you don't have all of the pieces in place, you become more and more likely to just break apart. And so we've got to have these pieces in place so that we can be able to keep filling in the holes, and not get just full of holes where we're not getting our oxidative stress taken care of. We want to make sure that we're not losing mitochondria. We want to make sure that we're making as many sirtuins as possible in our body. And so when we take all three of these together, we have found that we are just really it's just an extrapolation of what it's capable of by itself. And so our flagship product is that Nerve 2. But when we have all of these together, so this is just looking at a few of the genes. When they were looking at the genes and how they upregulated the production of these particular proteins when it was in the presence of all three of these together. So this is all versus all three of them together versus just one. And so the nerf 2, we're seeing lots of these antioxidants coming forth, really coming up, way up when we are also supporting it with the mitochondrial and sirtuin health. Same thing with these, when these are coming up lots more when we have the other two. And so what we're seeing is just an amazing amplification there with that. All right, so I am wanting to make sure that I don't go over my time, but these were some of the products that I talked about. We have even more. Our company is really on the cutting edge of more biohacking. I mean, that is what we are about. It's just really having these power punches of what people need. When, if somebody's having issues with their eyes, we have some products that are going to be, really including and introducing lutein and some other compounds that are going to be improving eye health. And, we have some others with our skin and our hair. So if you have another area of your body that you're concerned about, please talk with whoever invited you to this call today and ask them, say, hey, I really like this product, but my issue is really with this. And they more than likely are going to be able to share with you a product that our company has that can address that particular issue. So thank you so much for your time.
Wow, Lena, that was amazing.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for taking the time to share. I am always educated. I just feel like I always get more insight and understanding every time I listen to you share. So thank you for sharing your time and your knowledge in ways that are beneficial to us. We really appreciate it. And for those of you who are maybe watching this on a recording, I thank you for taking the time to watch this video and learn about our health and what we can do about it through these products. And I do ask that you would get back with the person that shared this link with you so that they can know what your thoughts are and maybe answer any questions you have. Thank you all for being on the call tonight, and I just wish that you have a wonderful day. Bye bye.